All right, guys, we're jumping into it today. Buying a new construction home in Las Vegas. Well, it sounds simple, right? You just pick a community, you pick a floor plan, you wait for the keys, and it's all locked up and you're in a brand new home. Well, there's a little bit more than that, and there's a lot of important details that a lot of buyers just miss out on or maybe just aren't aware of until they're already under contract. And it could be too late at that point. And so we are going to start this new series and dive into the things that you want to know about your new build. So who is this for? All right, here it is. If you're relocating to Las Vegas and you're going to get ready to buy your first new home and it's a new build, or maybe even you already live here and you're looking to move into a new build, this video is going to be clear, it's going to cut to the chase, and we're going to teach you everything you need to know about the new home building process. I'm Aaron Dalzell. I'm a local real estate agent here in town, and I'm putting together a brand new series for you, and we're going to give you the Vegas New Build Playbook so that you have all of your questions answered, and they're going to be right here at your fingertips. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into with the first topic of what really is new construction anyway. So when buyers say they want new constructions, it could be very different things, right? So here in Las Vegas, we kind of see three main types of new builds. The first one is going to be your spec homes. These are going to be homes that are already built. They're close to completion. The builders already made a lot of the decisions for you, right? The benefit is they have a lot of faster timelines, but they're limited in customization. The second is to be built homes, right? This is where you're going in, you're looking at lots, you're picking the lot, you're picking the floor plan, maybe the elevation on the outside. So you have a lot more options there, but it's going to be longer, right? Because now you're going from dirt all the way up through framing to drywall to tile, cabinets, the whole nine. You're building it all out from the ground up. The third one is a little bit less common, but you're getting more into the luxury market and you're talking about more of a full customized home. And this is probably going to be a little bit more of a luxury style build. You're going to be picking out lot flooring. You're probably going to the design center where you're going to be picking out a lot of your tile cabinets, things like that. And these typically take longer. Now you have a lot more customization here, but the process is going to take a lot longer. So as you go through option 1, 2, and 3, you could be looking at from move-in ready, a 30-day close, to absolute full customization lot in home, and you could be looking at maybe 8, 12 months or beyond. Again, it just depends on what three of the style of new builds that you're actually getting into. All right, so now that we've kind of gone through the three kind of styles of new builds that there are available, let's talk a little bit about the process. The new build construction process is obviously going to be a little bit more different than the resale. The resale, the home's done, it's built, you're probably in a mature area, okay? But at a high level, the process really kind of looks like this. First of all, you're going to want to still get pre-approved because we want to show you communities and floor plans that you're going to be able to qualify for. Next, after that, is really choosing a kind of a community and a floor plan. Do you want a 2-story, a single story? Are you looking for the north, the west, the south? That's going to really decide on what builders we should be going to see, right? And if the home allows it, depending on the stage, is that after you pick a floor plan in the community, you're probably going to get into some type of design center options, needing to get down there, pick out maybe some flooring, some cabinets. And again, that's all going to depend on which style of home you purchase. So you're going to still have decisions, deadlines, and costs attached to all of these items. So just understand is that the price that you see advertised on some of these billboards is not always going to be the final price. A lot of the builders are advertising their base price, and you may have a lot premium, the design fees, and things like that that we can get into a little bit later. But just know that the full picture early on is going to make a huge difference on how you end up finishing this home under contract. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about pricing and incentives, because this is a huge thing that I get all the time from my buyers looking at new builds. One of the biggest misconceptions with new builds is the pricing, because most of the time what you see on a billboard or what's advertised is the base price, and it's rarely the final price. There can be, like we mentioned earlier, lot premiums, structural upgrades, design center upgrades. So you have to take all these into consideration when looking at that price that's advertised on the billboard you see out there. The benefit is, though, is that a lot of times there's builder incentives, and the incentives could be things like closing costs, rate buy downs, even design center incentives, and some of the money that they give you too can be flexed to use a little bit of both. But you got to understand, builder incentives are a real thing, and we have to be taking advantage of them. And again, no matter how much you get, for some buyers, they can reduce the cash out of hand that you come in for the design center or lot premiums, or they can help you adjust the monthly payment. Depending on how you use the closing cost money or any incentive money that is offered to you and the rates that you get locked in at, this money can be flexed to make sure that you're maybe more favorable on the monthly cash flow side, or reduce the amount of money out of pocket for you. So it's very important that we sit down and talk about those incentives before we sign on the dotted line. All right, as we dive a little bit more into the financing side of it, is that you got to remember, even though the home is brand new, is that financing is still going to follow a lot of the traditional lending rules. Now, you may, in most cases, need to use the in-house lending with the builders to take advantage of these incentives, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because if you use them, you get a lot of the incentives. If for some reason those don't work out for you and you want to use an outside lender, that's obviously going to be up to you. The builder lenders can offer though incentives, and they usually mean that going with an in-house lender can provide a better option for you. Again, it just depends on the incentives and what those guys are offering. And again, we're still going to be doing an appraisal. We should still be getting those numbers in, because just because you buy a new home doesn't mean that it shouldn't be appraised and you know the value of it before you move in. And upgrades don't always appraise dollar for dollar. And now that's going to be with new builds. That's also going to be with the resales. I have clients all the time on the selling side that are saying, hey, like, you know, they put in a pool, they remodeled the kitchen, they redid the bathrooms. Now, just because those add up to maybe $150,000, $200,000, whatever they are, doesn't mean that value is automatically translated over dollar to dollar. Okay. So just because it's new, those numbers don't always matter. And so we really got to take a look at those upgrades and how they've added value dollar to dollar to the property. And we're going to find that out during the appraisal period so that we make sure we know how much that home is now currently worth as you go to close on it. All right, guys, one of the last things we want to talk about here before we wrap up episode 1 is that here's what buyers sometimes don't realize, is that before you walk into the sales office, the model home, is that you need to remember who the sale agent actually works for. They work for the builder, right? Now, by no means does that make them a bad person or bad at their job. It just means that they represent the builder and they're going to have the builder's interest at heart, right? So it's important that you still have your own representation, because it can help you with incentive strategy, upgrade decisions, timeline coordination. It allows us to come in there and be your support, right? So in that case, my role is to help you make informed decisions and not just emotional ones. Because when we start to look at these model homes, we get caught up in how beautiful they are, how the landscaping looks, and how it's all staged. But guess what? All of that is not coming with your new build. So here's the deal. If you're thinking about buying a new construction home in Las Vegas, whether you're relocating here, whether you're buying for a first time, or whether you're just moving to a new home from here in Las Vegas already, is that I'm going to be putting together this new build buyer's guide that's going to walk you through everything you need to know step by step. Okay, the episodes are going to help. I suggest you tune in, watch the rest of them. But if you ever just want my new build checklist, DM me new build. I'm going to send you over that checklist so it can just help you start to get an idea of what you're going to be looking at, things that you need to consider when buying your new home.